Hey everybody, it's Jamie and welcome to today's Dev Diary where we're going to be talking about recruiting. And as usual, thanks so much for joining us for this Dev Diary series because at Geeked-Out Basketball, we are building the world's best deep tactical basketball simulation game. It's Football Manager for basketball because hardcore basketball sim gamers like all of you need your game too. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, I'm excited to talk about this one. There's been a lot of updates, and we've actually pushed it live. So you can go to geekedoutbasketball.com right now if you are a registered alpha tester, and you can try these out. One of the first things you may notice is we've got a full expanded season now. Before, you were just playing a 14-game season, home and away against your 7 conference opponents. Now you actually play a full 26-game regular season. You play home and away against your home conference, that's 14 games. You play 8 games against your sister conference that's in the same region as you, so that brings you up to 22. And then you have 4 random games, 4 other games against random teams from across the country, so that's 26 total games. And then there are 8 regions, so 16 conferences. And then what happens is that if you win your regular season, you qualify for the region tournament. And then at the end of the regular season, there's also a conference tournament. And if you win that, you also qualify for the region tournament to play against the regular season and conference tournament winners from your sister region down here, Conference A2. Right now, you can only choose teams from A1, but we're going to expand that eventually as well. And then the one thing to note is if you win both your regular season title and the conference tournament title, you get a bye in the region tournament, and you then play the region game, and then the region championship game, and then the 8 region championship winners go to play 18 3-round national tournament for the national title. So that's all in play. You can play all of that now. We'll do a deeper dive on that, but right now I want to talk about recruiting. So let's jump in. I've prepped a little document here. Okay, so this is meant, we're going to add tutorials on the site for recruiting. They're not there yet. So this video for you alpha players is going to be your best source for a tutorial for recruiting right now. And so just a few things to note. I've got like 5 slides here, or 5 infographics I want to walk you through. But the big thing to know, and you'll see this, I'll actually just show this to you. The key is every recruit has leans. And so you can go to the coaching resources tab that we've added here, and you're going to see a number of things here where you can look at standings, stats, schedules, rankings, team traits, and then you're going to see recruits. And so you come here and you can see all the recruits, and every recruit has what's referred to as a lean list. And these are the schools that they're leaning towards. One thing to note too, when you come to the recruits page, I suggest sorting by region and do the double click so you get region A here, because that's your region, and you can see all the recruits that are in your region, and them being in your region matters, which I will explain when we get there, when we get to that point in this video. But again, they all have leans, schools that they're leaning towards. They'll have up to 3. They could have 0, 1, 2, or 3. And these schools are listed in order of preference. So the first school on the list is the school that they're most focused on, or most leaning towards to sign at this point. But that can change. So let's go back. So again, recruits can have up to 3 leans. And those are teams that he's leaning towards. Number 1 is his top choice. One thing to note, some recruits are just like locked in on a school, and it can be changed, but if you see a recruit that only has 1 lean on their list and it kind of stays that way throughout the entire season, you could probably guess that recruit is very focused on going to that school. He can be won over with some effort and some resources on your part, but that's a good thing to know. Some recruits will just remain open. They'll always have many recruits will open the season is open and go through the season is open. By the time you get to recruiting day, signing day, which is week 35, which is the very first week after the national championship game, most recruits are not going to be open any longer. Throughout the course of the season and the invite process, which I'll walk you through, most recruits will have 1, if not 2 or 3 leans by that point. And then the thing to note is that leans shift all season long. So the more games you win, you're going to just build more of an aura around your team, and recruits are going to want to play for you. So you'll see some recruits proactively declaring that you're on their list. There's also going to be a component during weeks 20 through 26 where you can invite one recruit each week to your game to interact with your team and your coaches and your fans. And that's going to have a very big impact on getting your school on their lean list, or reinforcing or moving your position up on their lean list if you're already there. And then the other thing to note too is just like how your team performs all season long is going to influence movement. Just the thing to know about leans is that nothing is locked in stone until recruiting day. So while recruits are showing their preferences, and some are going to be pretty strong preferences, recruiting day is going to be a madhouse and anything can happen. Just one very blunt way to think about it, and this isn't like exact, but just know that the school at a recruit's lean 1 choice is like about twice as likely to be selected as a lean 2. Lean 2 is about twice as likely to be selected as lean 3. And then a lean 3 is about twice as likely to be selected as a non-listed team on the lean list. So the top choice carries a lot of weight when it comes to recruiting. But as you're going to see in a bit, it's not the only thing, and that can be overcome if you're not number 1 or number 2 on the list. One thing to note is the recruiting calendar. So the first thing to know, and I don't have it on this infographic, but when a season starts, when a new season is initiated, not many recruits, but some recruits are already going to have leans. And that's an indication that if they're leaning that early, like they grew up following that school, or maybe their father or mother went to that school, maybe they're a legacy. But if a player is leaning already before a single game has been played, you can know that that's a pretty loyal lean. And then weeks 1 through 19, again, we have a 26 game regular season. Weeks 1 through 19 are a passive phase. So there's no active recruiting allowed by teams, but recruits may proactively declare leans during this time, and your team's performance and the computer team's performance is going to be a big driver of this. And then also if you win games against higher ranked opponents, you are going to most likely maybe earn a declaration or two. But if you lose to weaker teams, it's going to have a negative effect. And one thing to note, I'll jump back here. We've reworked the recruits tab a little bit on the franchise command center. It's here. But you'll see this is going to keep a running list of all recruits who have your school on their lean list. So you can see by the time the smoke cleared on the season that I just played, I had 5 recruits, have me on their lean list. I have not run recruiting yet. I'm going to do that here on this video to show you. But what's interesting, the strongest recruits, I've actually seen a couple recruits get like 60 rankings. I actually think I saw 70. But if you get 50s are really strong recruits. 40s are good recruits, strong recruits. And even 30s are good. 20 and 10 and teens, you kind of get average. A simple way to think about it is a recruit and a freshman's RT before training camp rating is probably about 1/2 of their potential to finish overall. So this 45, you could have like a 90 rated player by the time he's a senior, if you develop him properly and he stays committed to the game and everything else. But let's get back. So now, weeks 20 through 26 are key weeks during the season. And this is where you can invite one recruit each week to your game. And it's a competition for invites. And so the invites are automatically queued as part of your training orders during that week. And we built that into the UX. And what you do is you build a list of 20 recruits, and then you stack rank them in the order you want to invite them. And then really what we do is the recruiting or the invite logic runs. And for the most part, it starts with the highest rated players. It processes recruiting invites. The recruit makes their choice. So it may be your school, it may not. And it continues to run through them. So my advice is Put 20 recruits on there. Don't make them all super. I'll get more into this later, but you might want to have a few lower ranked recruits on the lower end of your top 20 rankings just to guarantee you get a visit. Because one thing you don't want to do is not have a visit, because other than the actual actions of recruiting day, these 7 weeks are your highest impact weeks to lay the foundation with recruits. This is where you really build the groundwork. Another thing to know, when a recruit visits during one of those 7 weeks, you have a high likelihood they'll add you to their lean list. It's not guaranteed, but a high likelihood, and you're going to significantly increase that likelihood if you win the game that they're coming to visit you on. And then after week 26, we get to weeks 27 through 34. This becomes passive again. This is tournament time. So there's no active recruiting. It's a 3-week conference tournament, a 2-week region tournament, and a 3-week national tournament. And here, recruits can still shift leans even though you can't actively recruit. And the thing to note is tournament games carry significantly more weight in shifting leans than the weeks 1 through 19. Because these are higher profile tournament games. We're also closer to decision time. So recruits are going to be more focused on actually making declarations so teams will pursue them come recruiting day. So one thing to note, you're going to, in addition to just wanting to win your tournament games, good teams in this sim are going to get a big compounding effect because they're playing more tournament games. Because once you get eliminated from tournament play, you're most likely not going to get any proactive declarations beyond your one tournament game or however far you played. And you run the risk of getting passed up or usurped by teams that are still active in the tournament and are gaining a lot of cachet and a lot of by winning these and participating in these high profile games. And then week 35 is actual recruiting day. This is where the commitments are announced. This is going to be a really high pressure day. I've actually got that queued up. So I'm going to walk you through a recruiting day once we go through all of this. But this is where coaches submit your recruiting orders, commitments are made, and then announced by the press. This is where all the groundwork you've laid comes down to this single day, and it's a big day. So let's get into it a little bit. Some strategies you'll want to employ. So invite season strategy. No, again, weeks 20 through 26, you get 1 invite per week. These 7 weeks are your best chance to build the groundwork before the active recruiting opens in week 35. You want to win those games, especially when you've got a recruit visiting. This is going to be an opportunity, some strategies to consider. You can expand your reach. You can get on players' radars. You can invite recruits who aren't yet considering your program. This is highly effective for players who are still open or only have 1 or 2 lean spots. If there's an open lean spot, this can be a pretty good strategy to get your school on there. If they're all 3 filled and you get an invite, you still have a good chance of getting on their lean list, especially if you win that game. Another strategy you can employ during these invite weeks is to protect your ground, and you want to box out rivals. So you may have some recruits who already have you as number 1 on their lean list, and maybe you want to invite them and get them to visit, because that way you're going to reinforce your standing with them. And if you're not number 1, but let's say you're number 2 or number 3 on their lean list, you can move up. You can maybe move up into the number 1 spot. But the other thing this is going to do too is it's going to box out opponents. And so if you really like this recruit and he's declared you as number 1 on his lean list at the moment, when you're inviting him, if he attends your invite, that's keeping someone else from inviting him and potentially usurping you. So again, all kinds of strategies you can play with your invites. And you want to do smart targeting. You want to find the players you can convert. So, you can focus on recruits who are still open or only have 1 team. They're most susceptible to influence. And a strong visit can flip them to your program before the rivals get involved. So a thing to note, if a guy's not on your list, he has a high chance to add you after an invite. If you are on his lean list, you have a high chance to move up the rankings. And then if you win that game that he visits, it's just going to significantly increase your odds even more, even though visits are already pretty strong. And then recruiting day, week 35. This is a fun day. This is where coaches are going to actually submit their recruiting orders. And that's where it's an intense day, right? Think of it like NFL free agency and everything else. It's like you're at the starting line. It's go, start recruiting, guys. So commitments are going to be made. The press is going to announce commitments. And this is where all of your recruiting action throughout the season culminates in one day. So the way that recruiting works, and I'll show this to you, you've got a top 20 recruit list that you're going to build. And let me just jump over here. So after week 34, the championship game is played for the national championship. You're going to be queued with this recruiting button here. And by the way, there's going to be copy down here that's always telling you the status of recruiting, like recruiting invites begin week 20, or recruiting invites are live, etc. But you go to recruiting, and then what you have here is you're going to get a list with 20 slots in it. And you see I've got 20 here, and it's going to be pre-populated with every player that has you on their lean list. So you can see I have 5 players who have me on their lean list. I played as Morristown, and they all have me in the number 1 slot. So I did a lot of, once I got guys who put me at number 1, I did a lot of protecting. The other thing to note too is my center and my power forward, my starters at both those positions are graduating. So I did focus on guys who are like classic power forward, inside defender. This guy's more of a guard, right? And by the way, if you want to see their full attributes, you can go down here. And all players who are on your lean list are going to be highlighted in green. So you kind of see this guy. I need to work on this UI a little bit so the attributes stay static, but he has a high rebounding attribute, right? Whereas this guy down here has a high inside defense and he's very strong, or that might actually be, what is that? Yeah, that's strength. So I've got some inside guys that are already on my list, but what I want to do here is I do want to add 15 more guys to my list because I want a full list of recruits. So I'm going to do a double click to get to region A. You can sort by region here. And then I'm going to invite some of the best players in my conference because why not? Even though I think they're being recruited pretty hard. I've filled up 9 slots. I got 11 more to go. So what I want to do, let me put a few more guys. He's only got 2 leans. He only has 1 lean. And there's still ratings of 30 and 29. I like that. I got this open guy. I just want to make sure he's only a 17 rating, but let's get him in here. And I want to get some of these guys in here. You don't want to do all highly rated guys because you might run the risk of not filling out your roster. But how many more okay, I've still got 4 more slots to go. You know what? Let's find any more that okay, he only has 2 leans. He only has 2 leans. You can see the higher rated guys get a lot of attention. And then 2 leans here each, and they're, you know what? I'll put him in there because he's a 20, but let's just get another good guy in the list. An outside center. Yeah, I really do need a center. Or is this guy scoring, shooting, inside? This guy's a good outside defender. You know what? I'm a sucker for defense. Let's get him on here. Okay, so I've got my list of 20 built out. So what this means, every guy who's on your list of 20 is going to get a phone call from you or your staff during recruiting day. So think of them as getting 1 point right off the bat. And then in addition to that, you've got 20 additional points to layer on top of that. These are counted up here. And this is just really, those points determine where you're going to focus your time and attention. So you could put, if you got a priority recruit, you can put all 20 points on that guy. But you're putting all your eggs in one basket. Or you can spread them out very thin and kind of play the numbers game. Or you can focus on 3 to 4 strategic guys. However you want to divvy up those 20 points, that's great. And one thing to note too, you also see I've got 7 available roster spots. Because one thing to note, you can have, after recruiting, you can have a maximum of 15 players on your roster. And you carry those 15 players with you throughout the offseason and into the next season and through training camp. And then after training camp, and you see how they do in training camp, you have to cut 3 guys to get to a legal roster of 12. So I've got 20 points I can divvy up. I'm going to go here. I want to make sure I get this Maynard Mendoza, even though I'm just him. You know, he just has us on his lean list. I don't want anyone to usurp me, so I'm going to put 3 points with him. I really want to get this Hayward Christian. It's me and this school, Minsk, who's out of region. So I'm going to give this 11. And I want this inside defender too. Let's look at Glenn Preston. Does he have 2 or 3? I need to work on this UX a little bit so you can see how many schools he has. But Glen Preston does have 3. So he has Crickstown and Ann Arbor. So let's give him some focus as well. So these are kind of my 3 priorities. So that's 18. You know what? I'm going to bring this down to 9. So that's 16. I've got 4 more points to divvy up. I'm going to do 1 on the lower end. One of these guys down here. This guy's a 22, and he's open. So let's give him 1. I hope that'll help. And then I got 3 more points to divvy up. Let's do, you know what? Let's do 2 to Anton Green. I'm just going to really focus in on the guys who are leaning my way. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to kind of trust that the fact that I'm the only team on his lean list is going to help me. So I've got my points divvied up, none remaining. That's great. The other thing you can do if you really want to play a card is you can promise playing time. So again, this says playing time promise. I need to work on this UX. But one thing to note, if you promise a guy playing time, the next season you got to give that guy playing time. First of all, if you end up cutting a guy who you promised playing time to, it's going to hurt all of your future recruiting. Your playing time promises and your points allocations in the future are going to be less effective. And then another thing, if you promise a guy playing time and then you don't play him that often, it's going to have serious effects on your team chemistry, and he's pretty much guaranteed to transfer out of your school the next season, and it's going to hurt the effectiveness of your recruiting for the not as much long term as if you cut him outright, but short term it's still going to kind of hurt it. So if you make a guy playing time promise, you got to play him. And we're still playing with the actual amount, but these are 32-minute games. So right now we're toying with he needs to either average 14 minutes per game, so playing a little under half the game, or he needs to be one of the top 7 guys on your team in terms of minutes played. If you run like a lower rotation type of strategy. So those are all the tools. And then what you do is you save the orders. You get a confirmation message and you can now run recruiting. And then what you do is you run recruiting. And what I'd like to do, you can kind of see all their recruits here and who they signed with and everything else. You can also just go back to your franchise command center. We're going to clean all this up. We're going to make it more exciting, like with like an actual modal pop-up to show you got. But this shows me who I got. So what's cool is I actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got all 5 guys who had me in their number 1 lean spot. That's huge. I didn't have to make any playing time promises. You'll see a PTP in bright red if you make a playing time promise. And then one thing to note, whatever your roster size is coming out of recruiting that is less than 14, you're going to get a walk-on. And so this is a guy who wasn't on the recruiting list. He's a guy who's local to your school area, who wasn't frankly good enough to be on the recruiting list, but who knows? Anything can happen. So you can kind of see this guy doesn't have the best attributes, but hey, he's going to be a warm body for training camp. So these are my recruits. I'm pretty excited. I got Hayward Christian. I got 3 guys who could be 80s or 90s by the time they're seniors. Another one who could be a 70. And again, the 31 could turn into 100. Some guys just might explode. The 45 may never get above 45. Freshmen and recruits are a gamble, but that's how you build your program. So let's go back. I think I walked through most of this. You've got your 20 recruits, your 20 bonus points to allocate. Your base call, if a guy's on the list, he gets 1 point automatically plus the 20 extra. And then again, like I said, you can assign those points however you want. You can go all in on one player. You can spread it out. You saw I had some luck spreading it out. I didn't get any players rated 50 and above, but that was because I just hadn't invited, effectively enough to lay that groundwork. You're most likely going to want to be on a player's lean list by the time recruiting comes around. That's going to be your best bet. And then lastly, just a few hints and tips when it comes to recruiting. In-region players are your best odds. So again, right now, you're going to be able to play as any team in the near future, but right now you're playing as one of the 8 conference A1 teams, and so you'll want to focus on Conference A. You can recruit outside the conference and invite outside the conference, but players within your conference are more likely to accept invites and to ultimately choose your school because they're going to want to stay close to home. Again, like I said, don't sleep on the lower rated players. The top recruits are going to get everybody's attention, but you're going to want to find a few lower rated players that fit your system, and throw them a little love, and you can kind of like fill out your roster with non-walk-ons, right? And kind of get some talented guys. At the end of the day, the best thing you can do is win games, because in addition to everything I showed, your school prestige also plays a pretty big role in if they accept visit invites, and then it does play a role in their assignments as well too, like where they want to go play. And like I said, walk-ons are going to fill the gap. So if you're under 15 players after recruiting day, we're going to fill it out with walk-ons. And so your max is 15 players. Carry those through the off-season, go through training camp next season, and then you're going to have to cut 3. So I think that's it. So I hope you're as exciting about recruiting in this game as I am. It's going to be a nice little component to add to everything in addition to managing the entire gameplay. As usual, if you have comments, put them in down below in the comments section, or come visit us on Discord, or if you haven't yet and you want to register to be an alpha tester, we're maxed out, but if you raise your hand and want to test this thing, you can go to geekedoutbasketball.com. Link is in the description below, and register. And if we don't get you on right away, we'll do it fairly quickly. I think we're going to be coming out with a product roadmap soon, and beta timing, we're kind of wrapping our heads around it. So I'll keep you updated, but we're going to have this full game, I think, live sooner than everyone thinks. And the last thing to note, just a little housekeeping, I'm moving over the next few days, so there's a chance there may not be a video next Wednesday. Game development is still happening. I'll put out updates on X and on Discord, and I'm going to do everything I can to get a video out next Wednesday. I'm going to be in my new place by next Wednesday, and I just got off the phone with Comcast, and the internet's going to be hooked up. So I hope everything will be good, and I'll be giving you guys another video then. But as usual, I thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're all as excited about this game as I am, and I look forward to chatting again next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.